Okay, so this lecture is going to be about automating Word documents with the Python docx module. And so the first step with working with any library or module is installing that module. Um, so we want to, if you're using VS Code, you'll go into the terminal and use pip to install using this command. If you are using Replit, you'll want to go to the shell tab within your project that you're working on and then type pip the same command, pip install python dash docx, and you should see something like that. And it'll say that it's successfully installed. And then from there, you can actually import that library in your program. So once you do that step of installing the library, you can actually use it. And this library in particular allows us to add headings and paragraphs and tables, um, and format text dynamically, and then save and edit the docx files. So the first thing I want to go over is creating a simple Word doc using this library. So there's a couple steps. There's use the document function to create a document object. Um, and then once you have that document object to work with, you can add text, headings, and paragraphs dynamically, and then save the document to a file so you can actually open it and see it. So here's some sample code for doing just that. Um, Once you have downloaded the docx library, you can then import and you can either say import docx and it imports everything from that library, or you can import very specific things that you know you need. So we know that we need the document function from that library. So I'm just saying from docx import document because that's really all I need. And then these add heading, add paragraph, and save are all built into that document function object. So the first step here is creating that document object that we can work with, and we're calling it doc. And then we're adding a heading, calling it sample document. Um, and then we are adding a paragraph by passing in some text into this function call. And then we are saving the file to sample.docx. And then lastly, we're printing that the document was created, which that print statement goes to the console window. So it's not written to the text file, or not text file, document. So let's look at the code in action, potentially. Here we go. Okay, so where is create doc? So here's create doc. Um, it has all those lines that I just went over. But if I hover over the different things, it will kind of give some more context into what these functions are doing. So first, this document is creating a document object, and it's like a data type, a special data type that's defined. Um, and if you don't specify anything in the parentheses here, it just generates a default template, which is fine. That's all we need for this purpose. If you have a very particular kind of template that you want, then you'll have to reference the documentation for the docx library to find the appropriate um, uh, argument to give to this function call. So that is our object creation where we're creating this variable doc to work with. This add heading function takes a string of text, which represents the heading that is going to be there, and then the level is an integer. Um, and its style, like, you know how when you are working with like a Google Docs or any document file, there's usually a actually I can go to Google. I want Google Calendar. I just want Google. You're making me sign in. How dare you? Are you kidding me, dude? I just want to go to Docs and I want to go to blank document. So this level that they're referring to is basically like this. So heading one, two, three, level one, two, three. So level one is referring to like heading one, essentially. So um, that is saying that you're adding a heading with the level one styling, which is like pretty large text. Um, then add paragraph is going to take a string, um, and is going to, we're not giving it any particular kind of style. So it's just going to be a default paragraph style, which is, should be, I think that's just normal text. Um, if you're trying to kind of correlate it to like a physical, like Google Doc or tech, like document file, like Microsoft Documents file. Um, so that is just going to add a like normal 12 point-ish font, paragraph style text to your Word document. If you have taken any HTML courses, um, you'll kind of understand like the difference between heading and paragraph. Headings are styled usually bold and larger text, whereas paragraph is just very basic, either 10 or 12 point Arial or Times New Roman font. And then save is the last function that we're calling, and that is what actually saves the document to whatever path you specify. So the path that we're giving is just a name of a document. So it's going to generate a sample.docx file and save all of this stuff to a file. And we should see it here within our week 10 directory because that's where this create doc file is. And then we should see document created printed to our console output here. So I'm going to run this. Run the code, please. And it worked. If I wasn't in my week 10 directory, I would have gotten an error, but luckily I was. So it said document created, and we should see, oh, sample.docx was actually generated and placed within my IT 145 winter 25 directory, but that's okay. If you try to open it in VS Code or even on Replit, it will give you this, which is basically it it's a binary text file because the VS Code and Replit doesn't have the like either Google Docs or Microsoft Office system. It doesn't know how to actually like compile this information into a meaningful human legible um, file. But if I go to the location in my like directory, like my folders, and find sample .docx, and I know it's in my um, IT 145 Winter 25 folder. So I just have to know where that is, which I always put my like current semester's directory on my desktop so I know exactly where it is. So if I click on sample.docx and open it up, it opens a Microsoft documents page and shows that it's got the sample document header, and then this is an automatically generated Word document, which is that paragraph text that we asked to be added. I'm gonna get rid of that because that's scary looking. But yeah, so that is a very simple implementation of the document um, function in the docx library. And hello, I would like to go back to the presentation. Um, so the next step that we're going to be doing is using a list of employees and to generate letters dynamically, and we're going to fill in placeholders with the employee specific data. Um, so for this, I'm going to get into a demo of part 1 of Lab 8, which is going to involve creating a Python file called generate employee letters. So we will get to that next. Okay, so I've already started the generate employee letters script. I've just imported the OS module because we are going to be um, checking if our output folder exists, which the output folder is going to contain the letters that we're generating. And then I've also imported the docx, specifically the document function from the docx module. And then we're also going to be using dates from datetime. So that is all of our imports. And then instead of using a either CSV file or an Excel file, I'm just creating a small dictionary of 3 employees, each of them having a name, position, and department. And like I mentioned, I think in the last lecture, um, this once you've been able to do this process with something like small, like this list of 3 employees, you can scale this up to a multiple thousands line Excel sheet or CSV file. But I just didn't want you to end up having a folder of like 1,000 plus letters when you run your program. So if you want to test out this program using a Excel, like much larger Excel file, like how the one that we used in Lab 7, feel free. But I don't expect you to submit um, something with that much content. You can just use a small dictionary like this. You can even use the same one if you want. Um, so the main meat of this lab is in the generate employee letters function. So I already have the function header and I want it to take the employees dictionary and it is going to take the name of an output folder. And if that name is not given, it's going to default that name to be letters, which is fine. And all that I have so far is checking if the letters directory exists already. So the next step that I want to do for this function is create our document and so for each of the employees, I want to create a document that is going to be a letter of recognition. Um, and I want it to say something like, Dear employee's name, congratulations on your outstanding contributions as a whatever your position is, in whatever your department is. Your efforts have significantly improved our team's performance and morale. Yay, congratulations. Best regards, and then your name. So I will be signing it as Katie Tracy. Um, and then once that document is generated and populated, we have to save it and put it in the letters folder. So to do this process over and over for all of our employees within our dictionary, we're going to need a for loop. Um, so I'm going to say for each employee in employees, I would like to generate a document, which I'm just using that first line from our create doc program that we looked at previously to create a doc object. And I'd like to add a heading to each of the letters. And I want that heading to be employee recognition letter. And I'm going to have it be at level 1. So it'll be that slightly larger emboldened text. Then I want to add a paragraph style text that says Eastern Michigan University. You can make up a company name if you'd like. I'm just using Eastern. Um, and then underneath that, I want to add another paragraph styled text with the date. So to do that, that's why I had imported. Can I get my cursor back, please? This is why I had imported the date from datetime. So to actually say what the date is, I don't need the quotes yet. I need string and date dot today. And this is going to give us, it's going to return like 2 days physical date. So that's pretty neat. Then I want to start building the content, the rest of the content of the letter. So right now, this is like the header of my letter. And now I want to start actually writing dear so and so. So I want to say add paragraph. And I like to kind of do this stuff piecemeal. I don't like to do one add paragraph call and type the entire thing. I like to kind of build it piece by piece. Um, it just makes it easier for me to see what I've written so far. And also, especially if you are um, adding any like variables, like we're going to be adding a reference to the employee's position and department and their name. And it's easier to see where those variables are at for debugging purposes if you kind of separate the paragraphs as you're writing. So the first paragraph is going to be, we're going to need F because we're formatting it with dear, and we want to reference the employee's name. So employee to reference the a specific um value or key, I'm sorry, in a dictionary. This is how you do that. You reference the employee, like an individual entity from the employee's dictionary, and I want specifically their name. Um, so that, and then I just want a comma. So dear, whatever the employee's name is, comma. That's my first line. Whoops, I don't want heading, I want paragraph. And I'd like to format again. Um, this is going to be a lot of typing, but I'm going to say congratulations on your outstanding contributions as a employee. I want their position um in the employee department. I want the department at this point. Um okay. So I'm going to say that. Okay, sorry, I had to step away for a second because I smelled fire, but my neighbor is just barbecuing. LOL. Okay, it's all good. So we have congratulations on your outstanding contributions as a employee in the particular position and in the particular department. So as of right now, can I no, I want to annotate. This is fine. So as of right now, for the first employee that we have on our list, that is Alice in HR. I'm gonna write this down. Actually, no, I can remember this. It's all good. So we're going to annotate. Want to annotate, please? Are you kidding me? Okay, there we go. So right now with this first person that we're working with, which is Alice Johnson, um, it's going to say, actually, I'm just gonna, so it's gonna say, Dear Alice Johnson, congratulations on your outstanding contributions she is an HR manager in the HR department. That tracks. So that is kind of how the letter is going to be built. We are referencing keys from the dictionary, and that is returning the values at those keys. So Alice Johnson is first, who's an HR manager in the HR department. Cool, that tracks. Um, so to build the rest of this letter, I've just got this line here. And I don't want to keep going off of that one line, so I'm starting another paragraph here. Um, and I want to say your efforts have significantly improved our team's performance and morale. Yay. Um, And then lastly, I want to add paragraph, not page break. But that is good to know. Like if you ever want to know what functions there are with that you can use with an object, you type your reference to that object, which in our case is doc dot, and then it gives you a list of all the things you could do. You could add a picture, which I believe to actually do that, you just say add picture, and in the arguments, you give a path to the JPEG or PNG you want to add. Um, Save is there. And then there's these other built-ins. But yeah, always check what you have available to you. There's all these options, but we are going to just be adding a paragraph. And I don't know why I can't type. It's so hard to type when you know people are watching you at some point in the future. fail miserably. So best regards. And I'm going to do another one and paragraph. And this is going to be my signature. And at this point too, I know some people save their signatures as a JPEG or PNG. So this could be a use case of adding an image and you give a uh, path to whatever wherever your signature page or image is. But I don't have one of those in my directory, so I'm not going to do that. I'm just giving you an example of a use case for adding an image. Um, okay, so that is the letter contents. And now I need to finally save this document to a file. So I want to say file name, and I'm going to use the OS module to join the path of the output folder with a formatted string, and we're going to utilize the employee name again. Um, and am I? No. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky. So I want to use the employee name and I want to um replace any commas with an underscore. Um, so to do that, I'm going to say I'm getting their name and I want to replace um, an empty space, actually. That's what we're replacing. So in their name value, it's their first name, space, last name. But you can't really use just a space in a file name. So I want to replace any spaces in the employee's name with an underscore. So that is going to do that for us. And then we're going to come outside of the curly braces to say underscore letter dot doc. Oops, docx. So just to show you what this is going to actually look like as a file name, it's going to give us Alice underscore Johnson. Oh my God, this pen. Underscore letter dot doc x. So instead of a space, there's a underscore there, which will make the file path actually work because the space causes problems with file names. So is that everything? No, we have the file name, but we still need to save it. LOL. So doc save file name. And I'm going to print a final statement just so that I know that stuff happened and generated. And I'm going to reference file name. And that is the end of our generate letter function. So we are um, looping, I guess I don't want to say looping, for each employee in our employees dictionary. I'm going to shorten it to dict. We want to generate a document and write a letter uh, using that employee's Oh my goodness. Details. Um, okay. And the last thing that we need to do is actually call our function. So I'm just going to say generate employee letters and pass in our employees dictionary. So just a reminder, um, you can create a main function within your this dot py file, or I just put all of my quote unquote main function code outside of any of the functions. So any of the defined functions that you create, like this def generate employee letters, all of this is its own function. And then anything outside of that is considered part of the main function. So the employees dictionary is accessible within by the main function. And then I'm able to call generate employee letters using that employees dictionary. So cool. I think at this point we can try running this. And in theory, we should see, let me make sure I don't have letters on the side here. Okay, so once I run this, we should see a folder called letters pop up. And I need to CD into my week 10 folder. And now I can run this. Dope. So it created a letters folder. Where did it go? Did it? Am I missing something? Am I missing something? What is happening? Oh, it's up here. That's weird. No, I want it in my uh week 10 folder. That's okay. It's fine. As long as you know where it ends up, it's okay. So it's in my IT 145 folder, which is fine. It's got a letter for each of the three employees in my dictionary. And if I go to my folder for this on my computer, I need to refresh. And now there's my letters folder. So if I open the letters, you can now see, whoops, the content that was generated. Sweet. So it's got my header with Eastern Michigan University as the company, and then it's got today's date, and it used the name of the employee and their position, and in the HR, I found a bug. I don't want it to just say the HR or the what are the other departments we got? The finance, the engineering. We want to add the word department to the end of this line here. So that'll look nicer. I'm not going to rerun it because that's a very simple fix. It'll be okay. Um, but that is essentially the first part of Lab 8. So next, I want to look at the PyPDF2 library and how we will use it to do part 2 of Lab 8.